welcome to the mousiemakes podcast. In case you haven't met me before, my name's Helen and I live in Durham in the northeast of England. And it's lovely to have you here. I'm going to chat on about all sorts of things to you today, but all to do with all the things I've been making and doing. I hope life's treating you okay. If you live in the UK, you'll have been through one of the wettest Mays on record, so I hope that, like me, you've been enjoying a bit of the sunshine lately. It's really nice. I've had a nice time sitting out in the garden and doing a bit of outdoor crochet, knitting and sewing, so it's been really, really nice. So I've got quite a few things to chat to you about today, and if I keep looking down there, that's because I've got a list there, so I don't forget anything because I've got so many things to tell you. And so I've got things that I've made that I'm going to show you, plans for things, and I'm going to chat a bit about how we cope with having lots of projects on the go. And I am going to take you on a little walk before we finish. So sit back and relax and I will chunter away to you about all sorts of things. So first of all, last episode I showed you this framed 100-day project, all my little drawings that I put in a big frame. And one of the things that was suggested to me by somebody on Instagram was that I should maybe put the photos that I posted on Instagram together as a collection in a photo book, and I thought that was a great idea, so I've done just that, and I decided to have this lovely big book here. It's got pictures on the back, and so I've just got all 100 photos that I posted on Instagram, and it just means I've got them all together as a collection and can look through them to remind me of all that I did. So this is slightly different. If you didn't see me on my photos on Instagram, each photo was of the individual drawing that I did each day alongside the thing that I drew. So that's this. I am really, really chuffed with that. And I put on the back page, I put an explanation. Oops, where is the back page? I put an explanation of what I did so that if anybody in the future ends up with this book, they will know exactly what it's all about. So very happy with that. So that's the first thing. Right, I've actually finally finished the socks that I've been making for I don't know how long. I think it doesn't take me that long to make a pair of socks, but this pair just kept going wrong, even though they're just normal, plain socks. Anyway, here they are. Lovely bright socks, and I'll put the details of the yarn that I used in the description box. Anyway, very happy to have got those finished. Last time I showed you that I was knitting some birds to go on the branch in my conservatory. So here they are now in position. I made a blackbird, a sparrow, a wren, a blue tit and a bullfinch. And I think they look really lovely on their branch there, don't they? I might knit one or two more. I'm trying to knit any of the birds that actually come and visit my garden. So those 5 that are there come and visit my garden. But there's 1 or 2 others. I think I'd like to make a starling and a wood pigeon because they come quite a lot. But for the moment that's finished. I'm just setting that aside, and next time I fancy knitting birds, then I'll make those other ones. Right, and also in my conservatory, which I haven't got it here to show you because it's hanging up on the conservatory wall, is that the borrow stitched wall hanging that I made, which I showed you last time was finished. This actual stitching was finished, but then I I just had to finish it off. So I put a backing on it. I ironed on some facing, I wanted it to be a little bit stiffer for hanging on the wall. So I did that, and then I sewed on some calico, and then I found in my sewing box just the right amount of red bias binding, which was from some other project a long while ago. But yeah, so I sewed that on. I just did it all by hand and put the loops on the top as well, and found a bit of just bamboo cane from the garden, and it's now hanging there looking really nice, because the brick walls in the conservatory are not that nice. When we renovated the conservatory recently, I wanted to paint that wall, but my husband liked having the bare bricks, so now I'm doing what I can to cover them up. Yeah, anyway, so that's there, and that's nice and finished now. Right then, what else I'm going to talk to you about? Let's have a look at my list. All right, okay then. So that's kind of all the things that I finished making, apart from a few tiny things that I'm in the process of making. Yeah, one of the things that I've been finding recently is such a lot of fun. Well, since really probably I joined in with the 100-day project, is actually joining in with things that other people are doing in the creative community. And so when I saw that a couple of lovely people on Instagram and who have podcasts on YouTube, Dawn and Jeanette, were going to have a make-along called Enchanted Forest, I just couldn't resist that. So, and the idea is that we just post photos of things that we've made that are something to do with an enchanted forest, and that can just go on until, I think it's going on until September maybe. Anyway, it's just a bit of fun, and I know that little knitted toadstools and gnomes, they're not useful exactly, are they? But they're just, I don't know, they just make me happy, and they make other people happy as well. So that's why I think it's fine to spend my time making these things. The first thing that appeared in my garden was a tiny little knitted toadstool, just all by itself. The next time I looked, there was a little toadstool house. Yeah, there was a little toadstool house. The next time I looked, there was a little gnome there. A little gnome with a red hat. And he was looking at the toadstool house. I think he was wondering who was living there, actually. And apparently that little gnome with a red hat is called Ragnar. Apparently he didn't get any reply when he knocked on the door of the toadstool house, so he went and fetched his friend. And because, yeah, they wanted to investigate further, but he felt a bit nervous about investigating on his own, did Ragnar. So he got his friend Oswald. And, well, so there we go. So I've started this silly story just for fun. I didn't even mean to start a story, but it seems like now that I've got to keep it up now. I can't just keep people hanging. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, then I will update you as the time goes by as to what happens in my garden. By the time you see this, people on Instagram will have seen that another little character comes along, a little mouse. She is a little fairy mouse. And yeah, I'll put a link for the pattern, or the patterns I've used for all of these, in the description box below. I'm a bit rubbish at remembering them when I'm actually talking to you. Well, I know that the gnomes and the toadstools are from Mini Knitted Woodland, and the little mouse fairy that I've made, well, it wasn't a fairy mouse in the pattern, I added wings. That is from, I think, a maker called Laura Loves Crochet on Etsy, but I'll put the link below anyway. And yeah, so this little mouse is going to come along into the story. And then also, wow, the tiniest little mouse that I have ever made. Hopefully you can see it now. Anyway, yes, you'll just have to keep listening in or follow me on Instagram to find out what happens. Okay then. Right. So as I was saying, oh dear, I'm rambling on a bit now, aren't I? Yeah, so I'm joining in with that Enchanted Forest make along. But another thing that I'm going to join in with is something that I was nominated to join in with by Jeanette from Crafty Creations. And that is to do a 6 makes challenge. And the idea of that is that you choose 6 things, maybe from your wish list of things that you want to make and which you just haven't got round to. By declaring it to everybody, you're kind of committing yourself a bit more to these 6 makes. And the idea also is that you nominate some other people to join in with it as well. But I haven't quite decided who to nominate yet, so that might come to me. But for the moment, I've just decided on my 6 makes. Okay then, so my 6 makes that I have chosen to do are as follows. The first one is in my newest project bag. Now, I think in a recent episode I showed you a new project bag that I bought, which I just loved and needed to buy, although I didn't really. Well, so I really didn't need another project bag, but I just couldn't resist this one, and it is this. Hurdy. Yes, I absolutely love that Hurdy design, and the reason why I particularly was attracted to this one was because I have got a neck warmer, which I also use as my face covering when I'm out. On the odd occasion I go out, which isn't very often, and it's in exactly this pattern here. So I just felt it was calling to me. And this is a beautiful project bag made again by the lovely Jeanette from Crafty Creations. And apart from being beautifully made, and I love that green as well, it's just, obviously it's the green that's in one of the sheep there. It's really good. I love the end there, that it has a most beautiful knot there in the cord. Absolutely gorgeous. Hopefully I'm busy showing you a close-up photo of that. It's so beautiful. Yeah, now the reason I've picked up this is because the first of my 6 makes that I am going to do is some socks. I'm just going to make some plain socks, but I've had this yarn for a little while. I bought it from another lovely lady on YouTube, Angela from Yarn and Yarns. She has an online shop, and I bought that sock yarn, which was the February Sock Yarn Club yarn. So that's my first of the 6 makes I'm going to do. And the second make is a wreath, this Toadstool wreath from Crocheted Wreaths and Garlands by Kate Eastwood. My third make is a kit that I bought a little while ago, to an embroidery kit from Oh So Beautiful. And this is a really gorgeous design of a dandelion head. I liked the kit that I did before, which you might have seen, which is a fish pond, and I just fancy doing another one. I think I'll make it and then give it to somebody as a gift probably. But yeah, so that's make number 3. Make number 4 is something I've wanted to make since I saw a little tutorial just recently actually. I've been wanting to do some patchwork, but only on a mini scale, just hand sewn. And I saw Emma Jones who has Vintage Sewing. I can't remember the name of her podcast. I'll put it on the screen and I'll put details below as well. She was making a really lovely little pin cushion with mini squares and things. So I printed off the free pattern there for cutting out the squares and the fabric, and I'll probably show you me making that, but I'm not going to do a tutorial on it or anything, because if you go to Emma's podcast. It is brilliant. It is really, really good. So I can highly recommend that you go and have a look, and I'll leave a link below. Right, so my fifth make from the list of 6 is going to be, this is a bit scary, a garment for me to wear. So I have been meaning to make myself something to wear for a while. I very, very rarely make things for me to wear, but I was watching a lovely podcast called Yarn Mugs. Oh, and I've forgotten your name. If you're watching, I'm really sorry. I'll put your name on the screen. Anyway, she had made a really lovely knitted short sleeve top, really plain, and I felt like, oh yeah, that will be just the thing for me. It's got no there's no colour work or anything like that, but it's something I haven't done before, which is top down, so that'll be something new for me. And it's from Lane magazine, and it looks really lovely, and so that was me being inspired by watching somebody else's podcast and thinking, yeah, that's just the thing for me. So it's a bit of a bigger project. I'm not really a very fast knitter, so I don't know how long that's going to take me, but you know, there we go. I'm going to do it. And the 6th project, finally, well, if you saw my last podcast, you would have seen that I was showing you some of my craft books, and one of the ones I showed you was this book here, Woodland Knits. I remembered that I was really attracted particularly to one of the patterns, and I think this might be why I bought the book in the first place, and that was for these beautiful fingerless gloves called catching butterflies. So you knit little butterflies to put in the palm of your hand and another on the back. And I thought, well, do you know what? There was me saying I've never knitted anything out of this book, so now I'm going to do that. Right, so there we go. Those are my 6 makes, and I will report back on how I'm doing with those. So next, I thought I would just have a bit of a chat. It was thinking about taking on 6 makes, or committing myself to 6 specific projects, that made me think, there is a problem sometimes we have when we have too many projects on the go. So I've been, just thinking a bit more about that. So one of the problems that some of us have is that there is so much easy access to inspiration on creative things to make, from craft books that we maybe have chosen to buy, to watching crafty YouTube videos, to Pinterest and Instagram and websites where you can buy patterns and kits. It's no wonder that so many of us end up with rather a lot of works in progress and a queue of projects waiting to be started. It's very easy to feel overwhelmed at times and feel like we're juggling too many projects at once. Not to mention all the other things that are part of our day-to-day existence that we have to get done. So it got me thinking about what we can do to reduce this feeling of overwhelm, so that the time that we spend on our hobbies remains productive but relaxing and pleasurable. I've never been a monogamous crafter, but until recently I've usually only had a small number of projects in progress or on my wish list. So when I first came across the lovely Angela, who I mentioned earlier, from the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel, I was full of amazement and awe while watching her 12 cast-ons of Christmas that she was doing at the end of last year. And I was wondering how she could possibly manage to keep that number of projects going alongside other things that she'd already started. But when she explained her philosophy about having so much on the go and how she manages it, it all made sense. Everything that she needs for each new project is gathered together in separate project bags, so that there'll be no need to search about for any resources she needs when she comes to work on each one. She has a nice variety of different crafts and complexity of projects, so there's always something suitable for every situation. So nice, easy, mindless projects, as well as more complex colour work or cable projects. And she's been managing to keep things going by recording in her bullet journal the 3 or 4 projects that she'll choose to focus on in any given month. And then she tracks how each time she visits each project. And it seems like it gives her a real buzz, and I can really understand that, actually. And I'd never thought about it before. I always thought, oh no, there's just, too many on the go. But no, I've been won round to the idea of having lots on the go. I watched a really interesting TED Talk on YouTube recently by an economist, Tim Harford. You might wonder what that's got to do with what I'm talking about now. But he was proposing the benefits of slow motion multitasking for creative people. He talked about a study that was done over several decades, in fact, which showed that the most successful scientists were those who worked on several projects at once on a wide range of topics. And this idea can easily be applied to those of us who like to have several crafty projects on the go. We know that if we're not in the mood for one project, we can always turn to another one, a different craft perhaps, or something a bit less demanding or something more demanding. In fact, one of the advantages of changing project is that we are using our hands in a different way if we change from crochet to knitting or to sewing. And so that's quite good, looking after your hands as well. So I could say a lot more about this, but I'll not right now. I'm just going to finish off by offering some tips for coping with the what I saw somebody describe as multiple work in progress syndrome. So I think the first tip, a very important one, is just give yourself permission to change projects. If you like having lots of projects on the go, have lots of projects on the go. Secondly, important one, don't be hard on yourself. If you haven't touched a project for several months, that's just the way it is. That project hasn't called you, and you may get back to it, or you may choose not to return to it ever, and you reuse whatever materials you had set aside for that. Thirdly, my third tip is to keep a list in a notebook or a bullet journal of projects that you've got on the go. You can maybe keep a wish list or a not now list. So when you see something on Instagram or Pinterest or somewhere that you really fancy making, just add it to your not now list, and then you won't forget it. You can look back and know, where to find the details and patterns and things. You can also use a notebook or bullet journal to track your progress through bigger projects, which I've just done recently because I was starting to feel a bit overwhelmed and thinking about what have I got on the go then, and so I just made myself a list, and that's kind of part of this tip, is just to a bigger project you can just divide into little chunks and then tick off as you go. And my final tip is just to remind yourself that we create things because it's fun, and it needs to remain fun. We mustn't forget that we're doing it because we love doing it. So hopefully that was useful and a bit interesting. I find it interesting anyway. And I can see how, I thought about this because I thought I could easily become overwhelmed with all the things I'm trying to do. What you're juggling, all the balls you're keeping in the air at once. And you have to kind of just sit back and, think about this in a rational way. So I am just going to finish off, give you a break from my chattering on, and take you out on one of my typical walks. This is a typical Helen walk these days, where I just stroll along. I don't go particularly quickly because I just stop lots. I have been learning all the names of the wildflowers around about where I live for the past year or so, and I just love stopping and looking closely at them, reminding myself of what they're called. So we're going to have a little bit of a wildflower walk now, so hope you enjoy it. time for me to go now. So thank you for watching and spending your time with me, and I shall really look forward to you coming back again. So take care of yourself, keep busy, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.